We've got a fun review today as we're discussing 2024's Mean Girls. I made sure to dress appropriately because growing up, the original Mean Girls from 2004, I considered that to be a classic. Reminiscing about it leading up to this review definitely made me feel pretty old because in the build-up to this new version, I had the realization that the original film is now 20 years old. And that's something I had to come to terms with, my own mortality. Nevertheless, despite feeling ancient, I was intrigued by this new updated musical version of Mean Girls. For those who are unfamiliar, Mean Girls follows Katie Heron, who's welcomed by the Plastics, an A-list girl clique at her new school, but when she makes the mistake of falling for Aaron Samuels, Regina George's ex-boyfriend, she soon finds herself within her crosshairs. While I am pretty well versed in the film, I actually had no idea until recently there was a Broadway musical based around Mean Girls. It's something that I literally just found out about not that long ago that it was a thing. Once again, maybe that's showing my age. I wasn't aware of the Mean Girls Broadway musical. Nevertheless, going into this with the expectations, it more or less is the same Mean Girls, just with a few tweaks here and there, and of course adding songs. As long as you have some love for Mean Girls, it does still keep that main story intact. Katie navigating through high school, becoming entangled with the Plastics, and the buildup of drama between her and Regina George. Though I don't feel it's anywhere near as iconic as the 2004 film, and part of that could be credited to nostalgia in some way. I do think the overall majority of this new cast are having fun with their characters. Thankfully, if you're going into this having seen the original Mean Girls, there are some new things here and there. It isn't a complete shot-for-shot remake. All the various iconic scenes from the original are recreated. Some of the new stuff that was added was still solid, though some of those sequences I do think are some of the weaker parts, unfortunately. Like I said, this musical version of Mean Girls does still manage to add a few new charming surprises into the mix to update the story, keep things fresh and enjoyable for a newer generation of audiences. I feel like most people are well aware of the fact that they're hiding that this is a musical for a lot of general audiences. The trailers pretty much give away nothing that this movie is a musical. If you watch the trailers strictly for Mean Girls, you would just assume this is just a remake of Mean Girls. There's no musical element whatsoever. And I still think that's a very weird trend. We just have that with Wonka. And just like in Wonka, I think the musical aspect of Mean Girls is one of the strongest parts. Obviously, I'm going into this as somebody who has never listened to the Mean Girls Broadway musical or heard any of the songs. I found the majority of the musical numbers in Mean Girls to be infectiously catchy. Part of what sells the songs is how fun these elaborate sequences are and how well blended into the narrative. Various different characters getting their own different songs. Out of everybody involved, I would have to say that Reneé Rapp probably has the best songs and overall performance out of anyone in this. Honestly, she just perfectly embodies everything about Regina George. The mannerisms, the personality, the comedic timing. Then you add on these amazing musical numbers where she gets to showcase her powerful voice. Most of all on the track World Burn, for me, was probably the best song of the entire film. Come to find out while I was doing some research, Reneé Rapp actually just played Regina George in the Broadway musical. So can't be surprised that she's the best out of them all because she has so much experience. Regardless of the fact that Reneé Rapp probably is the best performance by far in Mean Girls, the majority of the cast at the very least are solid. Katie, I think she's okay. Nothing about her performance blew me away, but she was serviceable enough to get the job done. And her performance is bolstered a lot by Lily Cravalho and Jacqueline Spiviar as this new interpretation of Janice and Damien. Though this is a brand new version of Mean Girls where the overwhelming majority of the cast are played by new actors and actresses, I do think it is kind of a weird choice to bring back Tina Fey and Tim Meadows as their characters from the original film. That isn't to say that Miss Norbury or Mr. Duvall are bad by any means. It's just something that feels so out of place if you have seen the original film. But if there is a main positive to them returning, Tim Meadows' material continues to be hilarious yet again. Something about his deadpan style humor that just forever connects with me. At the end of the day, I do feel like your enjoyment of this is how open you are to this new interpretation of Mean Girls. There's nothing about this new interpretation that's breaking any new ground. Honestly, this was supposed to be a streaming movie and they're releasing it in theaters now. You very much can tell it was originally a streaming movie just in the way that it was shot. The idea behind this movie is fascinating to me, trying to appeal to a younger audience. But the core audience that probably is going to go see this movie aren't those younger people. It's going to be people in their 20s to 30s that grew up with the original. Maybe they're taking their kids to it, maybe they're not. This musical version for Mean Girls definitely has some fun vibes. I like a lot of the catchy songs, but I don't think this is something that you have to rush out and see immediately in January. January is a slow month after all, so if you are going to go to the theater and check something out, maybe it's worth a watch. I feel like you're not missing anything if you just wait to watch this on streaming either. But now for my thoughts on Mean Girls, make sure you share your thoughts down below. What'd you think of the film? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Share all your thoughts down below, because part of the fun is just having that conversation with you guys in the comments section. Thank you guys, as always, for checking out the videos. I always do appreciate it. Be sure to like on the video and also subscribe to the channel so you're up to date reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. Till next time, I'll see you guys later.